What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is. Preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus.
Wardlow here.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again. Thank you, Marv, on a lovely introduction to the 5th annual first ever Boozie Awards. With me today, boom, we got them all. We got Bishop, we got Clump. What's up, guys?
Hey, dude.
Up, dude.
I normally wear a ref shirt, right? And then on the Boozies, traditionally I wear the blue with the black bow tie. But this was the year Andy Kaufman went into the Hall of Fame. That's never going to happen again because he's already in. So I'm wearing my Andy Kaufman WWE Hall of Fame shirt, damaged and all. Because, I mean, that was huge for me. This past Hall of Fame was one of my favorites just from class alone with Andy Kaufman and Tim White going in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wanted to commemorate that just a little bit. How you guys doing? Let's what's in your class, Bishop? Let's start there.
Because the seasons are winding down, I'd figure I'd have a little holiday punch oos juice. Little Santa Claus.
He calls it oos juice?
No.
Oh, because wouldn't that be fucking sick, dude?
Yeah.
Remember, what was it? Jimmy for a second was saying oos with the juice.
Yes.
That was pretty good. Clump, what's in your mouth?
Right now I'm having a Forester cigar.
Forester.
Yeah.
I don't think I know that one.
It's okay.
It's all right. It looks nice. It looks like a pretty aged Maduro from what I can tell. Like it looks, yeah, it kind of looks almost like a Liga kind of color shade to it. So
it has that flavor to it too.
Oh, that's fucking cool. Those things are aged for a year before they ship.
Yeah, no, this thing, I got it. They recommended it. It was actually really reasonable. It was only like $6 for a stick.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And it's really good.
I love a good deal. Love a good deal. What's in your glass? What are you drinking today?
I have two things. I got coffee, and then I got a Boddington Pub Ale.
Oh, Boddington's a good one. English. Yeah. Are you sending me stuff? Okay. I'm having because like the old bishop said, just in time, saying cheers to my friends. We're your drinking buddies, Justin. Fuck, we don't use friends around here. It's like calling pro wrestlers sports entertainers. We've branded it. Right?
Yeah.
I like he calls us his
The
friend.
nicest,
I'm like, you
nicest guy
son
on
of a
Twitter.
bitch.
Yeah, the nicest guy on Twitter gets kicked in the nuts every time he shows up.
Hello, my friends. Shut up.
He's
Shut the fuck
sideshow
up,
Bob
Donnie.
stepping on rakes. Every time he comes in here, he steps on a rake. It's just
Yeah.
turn around, rake, turn around, rake.
Yeah. Happy holidays, just in time. What I'm having, because like you said, the holidays are winding down a little bit. And if you remember, I was talking some mad shit about the Romero instance that I had with the Bret Hart rum. Came all damaged and weird and fucked up. Well, we ended up emailing them just saying, hey, shit came super damaged and we can't find the card. Like, what's going on here? And they responded with, my bad. We'll send you another one. No. Then that was it. They just sent us another one. It came from New York instead of from Canada. It came with the card. They also sent the other card. So we ended up with 2 cards.
Nice.
And they said, yeah, keep it. They said, keep the change, you filthy animal. And
Nice.
so I'm having Romero dark rum in our holiday nog with a little almond whipped cream on top. A little nutmeg sprinkle. So, the dark rum with the eggnog is really good, right? This is a holiday nog, so it's almond based, less sugar. It's fucking good, man. The way that this rum mixes with the nog, badass. I can't wait to have it in other things. I'll put Brett's rum up in all my things.
Cheers.
Just Time says, oh, so it's the same thing, just different terminology. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, there's a difference.
No.
My nog recipe is dark rum and vanilla vodka. That's what does the martini numbness. Yeah. 4 parts.
Yo,
4
this Romero
parts
dark rum
nog.
is looking great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really surprising how good it is, if I'm honest. So, and then, I mean, for the 2-for-1 special, you can't beat the price,
Yeah.
Unexpected.
Yeah. Unexpected. We said, how do we ship the other one back? And they're just like, we'd rather not go through this. We've shipped it. Just leave it. Just let's be done. I was like, all right, well, I'll drink both
Oh,
bottles.
yeah.
I'm gonna do it. How you guys doing? How's the holidays? We're coming right up on New Year's, except depending on how I snip this. Maybe this come up before New Year's. I don't know. Maybe it won't.
Nice.
Whatever.
Little
Santa came. That was dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dick.
Yeah. I hosted. That was weird.
It is weird when you host.
Yeah, I got told I'm hosting like a month before, and I didn't have holiday anything.
Dude, don't worry about it. It's only holiday 1.
Yeah, nope. Episode 1, Christmas 1.
Yeah. Yeah, where every holiday is your first. Like, whatever, man. Just chill. You got anything super cool?
Decent.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you don't want to share with the class.
Hey, I'm a kitchen guy. I got new frying pans. Dope. A recipe book. Dope. Where I put my own recipes in. So I'm cool
Nice.
with it.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Who buys a recipe book that's blank, dude? Like, that's bullshit. No, that's they're giving you work. That's bullshit.
They are, and
You know what I mean?
and she has been punished for that. But no, man, when you got the kid, man, he's 9 and he had an awesome Christmas. That's what it's about, hooking the kids up. Santa gave him Shredder's Revenge, the Ninja Turtles video game, Shredder's Revenge. We played it all day today. It's awesome.
Nice.
Does
I
he have
love
a
it.
Switch?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw on the Switch, maybe I'll send you a link if you haven't already seen it. There's a pack that you can get that has like every single Ninja Turtle game that's ever come out on every system.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the arcade, it's like the Turtle Anthology or something like that.
Yeah, it's a Cowabunga classic. I'm gonna
Yes.
get it for my PS5. Yeah, I got him that one for the Switch because leave him with that. But what's cool about the Shredder's Revenge is that it plays like the arcade game anyway. So yeah, it's really dope. It's really dope. But yeah, I'm gonna get that for the PS5 for sure. Yeah,
It's fucking sick. I only got a couple things this year, but they were pretty sick. I got this right here. Earl Hebner, The Official Story. I didn't even know he wrote a book, but apparently it was on pre-order. He wrote a book and it showed up just in time, like a day before, signed by the head
Nice.
himself. Pretty fucking cool, man. Yeah, we posted even a picture of it because we were excited, and he responded right away, like, "Oh, now you get to know the whole truth." And it is cool. I've heard him in interviews kind of break down stuff, but I feel like that, judging by the size of that chapter, this is going to go into some better detail.
Oh yeah.
But
He's
it was
gonna burn
funny.
some bridges.
I was just flipping through, kind of a deal, and I saw it get to screw job, and then all of a sudden, at the top of the page, I saw it said WCW had just put Medusa on throwing the title in the trash, which created a tension here, right? Because they didn't want that to happen with their world title, right? They misspelled Medusa. They spelled it like the Greek mythology, which I thought was kind of funny because it's kind of, it is interesting because it also came with the Just Incredible book, which was not ordered at the time. They just said, here you go. But the name of the publisher is Walking on Hot Waffles. And their logo is a little foot on a waffle, which I thought Clump would like.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's a pretty small publishing company. And so I have a feeling that when they were doing some spell checks and stuff, they were like, that's not how you spell Medusa.
Right.
You know what I mean, I don't get the impression they were like hardcore wrestling fans. And the editing side, which is also funny because you see the same thing in Brian Gewirtz's book. When he wrote about wrestlers, they would misspell some of their names. When they did the audiobook, the person mispronounced X-Pac. Like, it was just like, you could tell, you're like, oh, they've got non-wrestling people to be a part of this project, and it shows.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool, dude. I'm super excited. It's fucking sick. It's a huge book. I read Jimmy Corderis's, and it was a lot of fun. Can't imagine it's going to be any different. And it was actually kind of neat. I talked to Charles Robinson once, and I'd asked him about like a rule thing, and he goes, I've always done it like this. And I was like, that's interesting. Earl Hebner had said in an interview that he would do it this way. And he goes, well, then I would do it that way. He goes, listen to Hebner, man. He knows what he's doing. Like, I was like, that's pretty cool. You know, like it wasn't one of those like, oh, take my word for it. It's always like, oh, he said that. Maybe I should change up what I'm doing. Like,
well, done this wrong for 20 years. Okay.
Right.
Damn it, Earl. You could have texted me. But I'm excited, dude. Legend. All right. Let's get that out of the way. Hey, you know what we didn't do at the top? I'm going to do it right now. Cheers to Fans First Sports Network for putting us on the air and paying our bills, the little ones. But I wanted to just, say happy holidays to everybody who's going on. Let's talk real briefly about SmackDown. Just because it had happened, and then the Raw was a best of show, which I thought they did an okay job with. The interviews were kind of cool. I liked the interview with Seth, where he was really talking some shit on Punk. I thought that was pretty sick. SmackDown, I mean, a lot of stuff happened, but I would say like my two highlights from SmackDown that came out of it was that there was an appearance by Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, which, although goofy and a little weird, and they had the music playing and it didn't have to be that way, it is hopeful that the women's division tag participants are going to be getting a little bit more shine in this coming year, which I'm excited about. And then the other thing I thought was a big highlight that I thought was worth mentioning is they're giving some weight to the LA Knight AJ Styles story and including the tension between Randy Orton. My only bummer is that I have a feeling we're getting to a fatal 4-way match. And the last thing I need is Roman Reigns stacking and smashing AJ, LA Knight, and Orton. You know what I mean? Like, hold the fucking phone. Like, I don't need him beating all three of them at once. So, we'll see what happens. Obviously, I hope that they stay away from the fatal 4-ways because they're messy already. But with Roman, it just feels rough, right?
It feels like a way to maintain the title on him and then still build up. Like, he didn't lose, or this person didn't lose to Roman. They just didn't beat him.
Right. But it also feels like the perfect opening for what Bishop and I and you were talking about last week, where Randy Orton could pin AJ for the win, get the title, and now Roman has a huge gripe because he wasn't pinned. Fuck you, dude, for ruining my streak. Fuck AJ for coming in here and ruining the whole thing. And like we said before, Randy's the answer, dude. He's the only one who's not going to be hurt by not being Roman. And he's the only one who's going to be so believable that no one's going to scoff and say, how could they do this? You know, like, I think you can keep stories going. And I think for me, that's the move. That's what I would do. I would get the title off Roman and onto Orton. I'd like Randy to beat him, but if he's got to pin AJ or LA Knight to do it, I could see that being a thing. And then you can go on to have Randy Orton versus LA Knight versus AJ, you know, sick matches. But my fear is it's Roman fucking Reigns, dude.
Yeah.
Every time they give him a loophole where we can get out of it, they just double the fuck down on it. And my fear is he's going to stack up Randy, AJ, LA Knight, pee all over them, and pin them with his balls on their face. You know what I mean? The teabag
with the mushroom
victory.
stamp.
Yes. You're going to have LA Knight with a big mushroom on his cheek. And people are going to be all like, damn, dude, he couldn't be Roman. Like, no. Nope. That's my fears. They do not back off this Roman thing for any reason.
The one thing I've liked about WWE this past year, you know, with this seemingly change in creative, is that they haven't gone convoluted with matches, right? I was just thinking about it with the year-end recap, right? Like, how many ladder matches did we have this year? You know, how many fatal four-ways did we have? That's what I mean. Like, it didn't feel like it, right?
Do we have any ladder matches in WWE main roster outside of Money in the Bank?
I really don't think so. I can't remember. Yeah, I know NXT did a couple. But they're really good at doing that with the North American title. But yeah, I don't. So like they haven't gone too crazy. You know, like we didn't have TLC as a pay-per-view. Even Extreme Rules wasn't, you know, all over the place, right? So I don't think a fatal four-way is going to happen. They don't really do triple threats. So matches really haven't been convoluted. You know, unless Charlotte's shoehorned in there. I'm actually pretty hopeful about this triple threat match for the number one contender, because I think it's going to come out with a clear winner, and it's not going to be Randy, and they're going to save Randy for WrestleMania, and that's your out. I really like where this is going. The only thing that would give me pause about Roman actually losing the title is if Randy wins the match on Friday.
That's good.
Taking the recycle out?
Yeah, I guess recycling's going out. Stealthily, I'll just quietly take out. Guess who got a drum set for Christmas? No. I think that I don't know that you wait for Randy till Mania, because I think that Randy. I don't think Randy Roman is a Mania match. Not today. But I think Randy Cody is. Yes. But if you wait for Randy to get his match against Roman, what the fuck are you doing with that title? You know what I mean? That's why I mean, I kind of feel like get to Randy now and get that title out of Roman. However, I totally get we got things to break. We got records still holding. There's every reason that, and he, you know, people buy tickets to see him. They buy his merch, all that stuff, right? But for me, from where I'm at with where I feel about the bloodline, and like I said, the last couple times they showed up, it felt very static. That it was like, it feels like shake it the fuck up. You know what I mean? We've been doing business as usual for 6 months.
I think there's a few things in play, right? Like Roman's moment to lose the title is at Mania. He can't lose it anywhere else. That's why I think you bring the Randy moment to Mania, because the loss of the title at WrestleMania is what's important, not losing it anywhere else. I don't think that makes any sense to lose it anywhere else.
I think the reason it makes sense to lose it somewhere else is because Roman losing is not as big as Cody winning.
Yeah.
Roman losing is a big deal, but not if it's Randy, because you're not making Randy the way you're making the next guy, right? But if Cody beats Randy for the title, that's a bigger deal than Roman losing to Randy.
Yeah, that's the year after. That's the year after.
I don't know if we can stretch Cody out another year like that.
If Roman loses the title,
I don't know if you can have Randy for a year as a champ.
No, but you can do other things and have Cody keep missing and then actually tell the fucking story. Because you still don't do that. Cody lost 0 clean matches this year, okay? They're not telling a story of being able to get there. You know what I mean? So, like, if Randy has the title and he's chasing after Randy and can't get to him, and there's obstacles in the way of getting to Randy, then you want him to beat Randy the following year. But if he just wins the Rumble, then beats Randy, what is that? That still doesn't tell a story.
Dude, it's not about telling the story. It's about finishing the story. No one says tell the story on a t-shirt. They say finish the story.
Right. Yes. We all show up to watch the finish. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people like 30 seconds and then finish. Other people like, a little bit more time and then finish.
Dude, the reason
but
people...
Cody wanted to finish as soon as he showed up. And that's not...
Dude.
It's
We're all waiting for Cody to finish on us. And here's the deal. Stories have to be shorter. That's why TikToks have wait for the end on it, because they still know in 30 seconds you're probably scrolling away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They say wait for it, and you go, oh, should I wait for it? And then I usually don't. I scroll.
30-second finish. You guys sound like my ex-wife.
Mm.
Well, I'm excited for it.
You want the 30-second finish.
Yes.
Nobody wants the 30-second.
I just think it gets real messy if we put... no one, as good as they are, Roman and Randy is not Mania match. Even if Randy wins, it's just a lesser than thing.
Well, I tell you this, the one thing that, to everyone's point about it being tired of Roman, if Roman loses at Rumble, he doesn't have a spot at Mania. He doesn't have a match. He doesn't have a main event match, especially if you're going to put Cody for the title.
And I agree. I think that Roman disappears for a year the second he loses that title.
Yeah, so that's okay.
That's okay. Have him come back at Rumble. Holy shit. We haven't seen him since last year's Rumble when he lost the title. And now he's coming in at number 30. Oh, shit.
Here we go.
Yep. And Punk as the champion. Oh, he's got... Oh, is he going to... Finish!
I give Roman the respect of having the Mania match. So... but if he's fine with not being on Mania, then I'm fine with it too, So
has he had a hard time getting on Mania lately? Was he not been?
What I'm saying is if he loses at Rumble, he doesn't have a Mania match. Nothing makes sense for him to wrestle.
The first time in 10 years. That's fine.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Just with you, dude.
Just saying.
Trying to get him to We the Ones right up.
Read the song.
But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch they're gonna, and probably it's gonna be Roman losing the Mania, or I've even seen and heard non-ridiculous theories that potentially SummerSlam or Survivor Series, or even right before that in Berlin, with
Gunther.
With Gunther, like you could do all that stuff, and all of it makes sense, and all of it could be very good. All I'm saying is, for my money, what I'd like to see Randy take that title at this next Rumble. Go ahead and let Roman just be off for a bit and come back in a year. You know what I mean? Like, come back in a year and make a huge fucking splash and make a big fucking deal of it. And, if you've got Punk and he can stay healthy for over a year, then you can tell plenty of stories before Roman comes in and says, I've been watching how good you're doing, and I think I want to do to you what you did to me and make this real fucking difficult on you. I think I'm ready to go ahead and knock you down a peg because I'm tired of you coming back for all that glory and stuff. And I've been watching for a year of these same people who listen to whatever you say that I had to fight up against. I'm going to pit you against them now. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to see that, especially with a year of Punk being relatively successful and healthy, because I imagine he will be, whether I like it or not. You know what I mean?
Did you see the clips from the MSG match?
No, I had no desire to see Punk versus Dom. It's fine. I'm sure it was a good match because Dom's fucking great. And my understanding is Dom worked the crowd a lot to get the reactions we needed.
The few clips I saw, and I didn't give it time either. I mean, somebody posted the whole match online. But CM Punk looked noticeably in better shape than he has. And he took a 619 to the face like a quality porn star would.
Nice. There you go. That, and I know that there was, my favorite thing was the huge controversy online that the crowd chanted, "You still got it" to Punk. And they were like, how could they do this? Oh my God. He wrestled 4 months ago. Of course he still got it. He's been wrestling for how was it, 2 years in AEW? Like, not to this crowd.
Yeah.
And we know that. We know that WWE gets twice the viewership on any given show in AEW, which means that there's at least half the crowd has not seen him wrestle.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
To
it.
them, they have no idea what AEW is. They don't care what AEW is. He's back wrestling.
Yeah. And on top of that, he wasn't that good in AEW. So I mean,
Damn.
I wouldn't be surprised if a number of people who saw him wrestle in AEW be like, dude, he was rough. He was rough. And then they saw this and went, oh shit. No, he's got it. And then they start chanting, you still got it. And maybe they're doing it ironically. It's a smart fan base out in New York. You know, they could have been doing it ironically. They could have been doing it for fun. All sorts of reasons why you could chant, you still got it. Because it's also the first time they have seen him in person in a fucking decade. You know, welcome back chants, I'm sure. Like, you know, like the fact that people were up in arms about it, hysterical to me. I love the pettiness. GR Lunar coming through saying cheers to y'all.
Cheers.
Hey, what do you say? What do you say we get into the boozies?
Let's do this.
You want to do our year-end boozies, guys? It's our 5th annual first ever boozies.
Boobies.
Boobies. Because we do 2. Yeah, let's say cheers to Fans First Sports Network.
Cheers.
Paying our lesser bills and being our drinking buddies as we get into the boozies. 5th annual first ever. Guys, let's start from the bottom up on your list because I like to start with the negative stuff, get it out of the way. And we only have one negative category. A lot of people do best of, worst of all across the board. We only have one, and it's basic, and it's get it out of the way on top. It is the You're Drunk, Go Home, a superstar or storyline that you don't want to see any more of, that you just need this to stop and go away. I'm going to start with Clump here. Clump, what was You're Drunk, a Go Home?
It's recent, but Nia and Becky, I don't see a benefit to it. I see Becky being well above this. Becky should be around the title. Becky should be arguably even like the above a title where, yeah, you got the titles, but I can always step in. Yeah. This, like a little weird grudge match, just kind of sucks. And frankly, with the track record of Nia with performers, I worry about Becky, you know?
Yeah, I agree. A lot of it just feels like flat out not worth the risk. And it also feels a lot like we said before, and as we've been reviewing that storyline, and I think it's a really good pick for this one is you just don't want to see it anymore because at this point we're rehashing stuff that's so old and that Becky's character was above. And this feels like a step down for Becky. Becky and Nia is not going to main event even a Raw. You know what I mean? Like it's a 6 years in the making grudge match that feels cold as ice. Go ahead, Cole.
Plus, and I know we're past this point, I can't just be me. A fair amount of people probably are still a little perturbed that Nia's back after the way Nia left with COVID.
Yep.
And their comments and everything. I don't really have a desire to see them perform because to me it feels like they did this, they left on bad terms, they were kind of an asshole, and then we just brought them back and put them to the front of the line.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge I was initially a huge fan of Nia, but I have found myself to find her just mediocre now. I think you have better performers that look like her because she's not like most girls, but we have other performers that also aren't like most girls who do fantastic jobs and don't hurt people.
For sure. And I mean, and Nia has come off to me to be pretty complacent over the last year, like coming back and not having put much effort into their in-ring ability, their promo ability. There's nothing about her that's captivating at all. So I agree. That's a good one to just be done with for the year. But hopefully it's a one and done. Hopefully we get the Becky win and then Becky moves on to the next horrible thing they've had for her.
She had a tough year. Yeah, she had a tough year.
The NXT thing would be a big highlight, though. Her NXT run as a champion, being able to highlight the young women, I will say that in defense of Becky, but it was a rough year. Even though I looked through my whole list, last year and the year before, I had so many women on my stuff. This one, the women in general had a tough year, dude. Not given a lot. Not given a lot of quality. They did a lot with what they were given, but not a ton of quality storylines, captivating concepts, and such. Bishop, what's your "You're Drunk"? Go home.
Yeah, for me, it's I went a little bit left because I didn't go storyline. I just went straight up wrestlers. Charlotte's out for 9 months. She could take the rest of the year off. That's fine by me. CM Punk just coming back. He can leave. Like Clump just said about Nia Jax being gone for that time, coming back and showing no, growth in seemingly character, humanity, respect for the fans, respect for your coworkers. Not showing that growth. Why would I want to give you a second chance if you're just going to treat me the same way? So, as far as Nia Jax goes and Clump's point, I completely agree. And the other one for sure for me is Drew McIntyre. Look, I respect him for wanting to do the job. He's just not good at it. And at the end of the day, I've always had a problem with a guy who's 6'5", wrestles like a powerhouse, but wants to do kip ups to show that he's athletic. Like the Undertaker, when he finally brought out the dive over the top rope, people's minds were blown, right? That a big dude can move like that. And I think everything that Drew does, like I've said before on episode 1, he lacks character awareness to put together what he's trying to get across and get us to believe. So if I think Drew should go to Impact, I've said it on the show a few times, I said it on my own, TFTakespodcast.com, that, Drew's just, his time's up, man. His time's up. He's been given all the opportunities. And all 3 of these guys that I've mentioned, they really just, they sit at the top of the card, whether they're A side or B side of the main event, they're always there. And to me, they just don't bring the entertainment value that position holds, and they need to go find it somewhere else.
Yeah. And I'd even say in defense of the Undertaker's high spot, as you were talking about it, it's not a kip up. It's not a half flip. He didn't do a moonsault. He threw his body up, over, and onto people, right? So it was actually more of it wasn't look how athletic I am. It's look how daring I am. Here's a person who moves slow and moves methodically in such a way that they're throwing themselves that as a fan base, we go, oh my God, he moves so slow. Will he even get his feet underneath him? You know what I mean? It wasn't a show of athleticism. It was a show of daring. And a disregard for one's own self to damage the other person, right? Like, I'm going to hit them and they're going to go down, and my brute and weight is more important in this than my flip ability. But McIntyre doing the kip up is very much like a Shawn Michaels trying to impress the ladies thing, Yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing about Drew that's a little bit weird. Drew McIntyre is, I've been wanting him as a heel for so long because he's easy to boo. And yet here he is as a heel, and I'm finding it inauthentic as well. Like, I'm still going, what? How are you not even leaning into heel, right? Like, it's just weird. Like, I've been dying for a chance to boo you, and you're really not even leaning into that. Like, he still has a character that wants the cheers in a way. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something about it's not connecting. It's not clicking. And yeah, I think a refresh would be good.
It's the same beats, and it's
Yeah.
you can't play the same song in a minor key.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I
for
think.
me, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead because I lost it. All good.
Yeah, fuck it. We'll move on. For me, my "You're Drunk, Go Home" or Superstar storyline, I don't want to see anymore. I had 2 on here. 2 of them are 2-timers. The first ever back-to-back winner of this is Ric Flair. He's just embarrassed himself to a point of no return and has for several years now. And I'm done, dude. Nothing about what he does is exciting, feels in place, doesn't entertain me. And it's terrible and it's sad. Every time I see him now, I feel bad for him. I no longer am entertained by him. And the more we hear about him and the more people go, it's just him. Oh, it's just how he was. It makes it worse. So yeah, I'm just tired of him and everything he's presented. Then the other thing, go ahead, Clump.
He's earned his time away, and like he needs to take it, because
Yes.
as time's gone on, he's beyond seeing him wrestle over and over, which we don't need to see. Dude's become problematic. So I also kind of hold the companies to account. Like, this guy shouldn't, like, let him sunset. Just
Yes.
let him, like, it's on y'all. Let him sunset.
Yeah, it's weird too, because people have the opposite thing where they're like, well, he's earned his right to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, wherever he wants to. And you go, no. He's earned his right to remain a legend and a legacy so long as we stop putting him out there all the time. He's earned his right to be special, right? Anytime he comes out, it should feel special. Now when he comes out, we collectively groan and go, oh God, what's he going to say or do now? Please don't wrestle. Please don't do this. Like, we're begging him not to do stuff at this point. And so, first ever 2-time back-to-back winner of that. This is also a 2-timer, but not back-to-back, but took the year before it. So real close. And that's just Gargano. Just be done, dude. Be done. He's dragging down Ciampa now. He's dragging down Miz. And it's crazy. Here's 2 people who should be able to elevate him, but he's such an anchor. He's dragging down Indy being around him. Like, it's just, there's just nothing good there, and nothing. I don't see it. And to be honest, when you watch his matches and his stories, the crowd doesn't either. You have a collection of 2 rows who are like Johnny guys, and then a whole audience of like, oh, he did that move. You know what I mean?
Maybe there's nothing wrong with staying in NXT, and that was his space. He could have stayed there. Him on a bigger stage, it doesn't translate, you know?
Yeah.
And to be honest, NXT's moved past him. Everyone there is so much better than he is right now.
I think if he didn't think he was Shawn Michaels and just strived for Dolph Ziggler, I think he'd be fine.
Yeah.
You know? But I just think he's just so far out ahead of his skis, man. He has go to character awareness, talk about ability awareness, you know, like, yeah, he's talented. Yeah, he's athletic. I say this about Kenny Omega too, like, talented, athletic. Sure. Does everything you do make sense? Can you do a million moves that I can't? Absolutely. But you know what? It just doesn't look like it's doing a thing, especially when you over exaggerate what you're doing. And I think that's Johnny's biggest problem. He thinks he's Shawn Michaels, but he needs to strive for Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, that's true. All right. The next category I got is the Got Me Buzzing Award, which is a match or storyline you'd like to see next year. This is basically our fantasy book of the year for this following year. What would we like to see coming up? Match or storyline. For me, I'd like to see Sami Zayn or LA Knight win a major title of some kind. Those 2 dudes, it could be career making for them. And I mean, I think that just kind of goes without saying. 2 of my faves, I'd like to see something big, you know. Let's go to Bishop.
Back-to-back winner for me. Gunther Lesnar.
Yeah.
It's been buzzing around the internet more than it ever has. But when Walter was doing his thing and first came up as Gunther, last year I had Gunther versus everyone. You know, I wanted him against Roman and Strowman and Lesnar and any big meaty man he can get across. And he's done great work with Sheamus and made Drew look like $1 million. But we need that Gunther Lesnar match. And then I had just a couple honorable mentions. The Roman Randy, which we've been talking about. I think we're going to get it. It's going to be fun. But 2 that we haven't really talked about, I'd like to see Jade Cargill and Bayley together for what Bayley did for Bianca when that first happened. I thought was some of Bianca's best work before she was ready. And then a little sleeper one out of my brainchild that you guys wouldn't think I would bring up, Cody and AJ. I think Cody and AJ can do some really cool stuff, especially if Cody listens to AJ.
And especially with AJ being a heel.
Yeah.
He could talk some shit.
Yeah, it could really get the best out of Cody.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, because I think this, if Gunther faces Brock and beats Brock, that to me puts Gunther in the conversation to be the one to beat Roman. And I think it's the only way you get there. Because I've seen a ton of people be like, it should be Gunther, And I'm like, this Gunther will never beat Roman. But a Gunther who has just beat Brock Lesnar, now you're talking, you know?
I like that.
I'd actually like to see Gunther stay away from Roman at all and challenge for it after it ends. I'm kind of off of that because because I agree with you. I think the Gunther character is right below that threshold. And even, yeah, of course, a decided victory, but I'd like to see him in the Randy Cody area instead of the mythological area, if that makes sense. Yeah.
What if they did the old Hogan Warrior, 2 titles, and he goes in there and he puts his IC on the line, especially with Berlin coming up.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And then Roman takes them both.
Yeah.
And then Roman melds those together, so now it's like a gold strap as well. Bringing a crashing end to the Intercontinental Championship and its entire lineage. Clump, what do you got? What's got you buzzing, Clump?
So for me, I honestly, and I don't want Punk to get the title or to get the heavyweight title from Seth. So that's perfect. I'd like Gunther to go against Seth because I think Gunther puts weight on titles. If Gunther goes for Seth, takes the title, that puts a lot of weight behind that title. I think it needs it to be important because we're told it's important, but even with Seth defending it, even with the action we've seen with it, which I think is awesome, it doesn't have the weight that the belt Roman's holding does. So I think Gunther versus Seth would be fantastic.
Yeah. And that's the one you put? You're not just saying that now because you said Gunther a second ago?
No.
All right, Clump, keep it moving, Clump. Tell me to give them a chance. Somebody you want to see get a bigger push next year.
Ciampa always. Or Ciampa or KO.
Yeah, it's tough not to root for KO, man.
It's hard not to root for KO. And yeah, he's always, I think, like a sniff away from like a big moment. But he never gets there anymore. And I'd love to see KO have that big moment, Ciampa as well. Both of them, they've been in the company for a while. They've had great stories. I think Ciampa, if he went back to the intensity that he had in NXT, could be a really cool thing. Even if he went back down to NXT, like having him go back and be that intense dude and go, with Ilya would be really fantastic.
Oh God, him and Ilya would be sick, dude.
Back to the last category.
Yeah.
Take going back to the last category.
Yeah, well, imagine that as a fucking red herring. If you're like, I just want to see Ciampa versus Ilya, and we'd all been like, no.
Yeah, chair flipping Ciampa. That's a son of a bitch, man. Every time he ended a promo, he'd stand up and flip the chair backwards. Yeah, it
was fucking sick, dude. And this was a tough category to me because I felt like how you just said KO, and you go like, oh, he really could use a push, and you're like, the motherfucker was the Universal title for a year. He faced Stone Cold. He just won the main event last year, Mania. It's hard to say he hasn't been given a shot, but there are still people and ways that we think like, do I just say to see them back up, right? Like, because I almost put Becky here. I'd like to see Becky getting a bigger push next year. It's really hard to say for Becky because Becky is a big storyline no matter how you cut it, wherever it is, even when these storylines are, flailing, right? And she was the first woman to ever win a main event in WrestleMania. Like, that's huge. So to say like Becky could use a push sounds ridiculous, but it's kind of where my head was at first. It's not the one I picked. I end up saying Corbin because of what he's been doing in NXT. He's been sick. And he's a dude who, God, he was as a heel as Dom is now when they gave him a chance to do it. He was his program with Roman was so good that I know all people think about is the dog food spot, but there was like a fucking ton before then that was so good. Oh, and even that moment was just like, that moment is what got the bloodline together.
Yes.
That was the start of the bloodline. The dog food, the Usos came out to save Roman. Boom. Now they're always by his side. You know what I mean? Like, Corbin's been a major role in the Roman story, so I'd like to see him get a push back into the Roman atmosphere. You know what I mean? That was mine. So Bishop, what do you got?
Corbin's a great one. I'm mad I didn't think about him. I went a little bit simpler stuff we've kind of seen. It fell off, but pretty deadly, man. Their NXT UK run was pretty cool. When they came over to regular NXT, they were extremely androgynous, borderline, almost unacceptable, it felt like.
Yeah.
but their palatability on the main roster has been awesome. They're super entertaining. They don't lean into the androgyny. They just are, which is really cool because we've had conversations on in episode 1 on, where is this actually leaning towards? Where this here, they are just themselves, and they're awesome. Even through the injury angle when they were out, and the whole rebuild of Kip, it was so cool. So I find them very entertaining, and I'd like to see if this tag division's really building back up. I'd like to see Pretty Deadly get to the top and see what they can do with the microphone in their hand and kind of be the A side of some tag team matches.
Yeah, and they're really nice guys. I met them during Mania week. I was at a show that they were at, like it was actually a magic show by Nigel McGuinness, and they came. They were the only wrestlers who showed up for the thing, and I ended up kind of sharing a table with them for a little bit, and we just talked for a few minutes, just bullshitting about magic in the area and all this stuff. And then at one point, also like, do you guys mind if I just be a mark for a second and ask for a photo? Because there's a good chance you and I will never be in the same room again. And then they looked at each other and said, that's a really good point. Like that, yeah, photo. And so I went and brought up my selfie thing, and they went like this and the fucking fingers. And then they were cool. And then after that, when I still saw them around the room and whatnot, it was still like, hey, what's up? Like, but it was one of those things where like, I think it kind of shook them a little bit. Here was a dude who they weren't probably sure if I knew. I was probably wearing wrestling merch when I think about it. They must have known that I knew. But then, to me to point that out, this is probably my only chance. Like this is once in a lifetime to me, and it's just another day for you. So, and they seemed like to get it.
Yeah, that's good.
So I like them. They a lot of respect. Let's go back to Bishop. This feels like Jeopardy, dude. Sorry to see you go. The person who got cut that you're going to miss the most.
Yeah, I went back and looked at last year's, and my answer kind of remains the same, man. They're all back. Anyone who I've wanted to see, they're here. So like I have to go like all the way back in the bag of tricks here and see who I would want to come back. And I think based off of what Chelsea Green has done, spoiler alert for later, I'd like to see Lana come back. I'd like to see CJ Perry come back in a way where she can mix in promo and athleticism. Granted, she still has the finger. I don't know. Did you see that picture of the infection she has? It's pretty gnarly.
Gross, dude. And then she posted herself puking. Like, what the
Oh, nice. So I guess you're not going to agree with that one on me, but no,
not at all. Not anymore, dude.
dude.
I'm scrolling through. I see this gnarly fucking picture, and then the next one is just her immediately puking into a bucket on loop. And I was like, fuck you. Block.
But yeah, I do think, again, spoiler alert for later, what Chelsea Green has done, for my opinion of her, I think Lana can do that for others as well, talent wise. But then another sleeper one is Buddy Murphy. I would like him to come back as well. But that's it. Yeah. Other than that, no, everyone who got released was expected, is what it is.
Yeah. Clump. Sorry to see you go.
For me, honestly, I had to do the same thing, go back, but Swerve. I think Swerve.
Yeah.
He's told great stories in AEW. I think he would do a lot better in today's WWE.
Yeah.
I think he's hitting a ceiling in AEW that he could really burst through in WWE.
Yeah, and that's an inherent issue with AEW, that they seem to unknowingly and unwittingly have a ceiling. No matter how many people get a bunch of heat behind them and the crowd behind them, there's always something that one of their inside talents puts the kibosh on, whether intentionally or not. But this is the direction we're going. They're not pivoting as much as they should, and Swerve's a guy that could be the next victim of the crowd's behind you, and we're just going to set you aside until they're not. Like, it's nerve-wracking to watch, and you just hope that's not the case. For me, the sorry to see you go, I went ahead and put Ziggler, just because I never got enough of Ziggler. He's always good. He's always funny. Again, another cool guy that I've gotten to meet and goof around with a little bit. So ton of respect for him as just a person. But and it's not because, I mean, we talked about when he was released. Maybe at this point you've done all you can do with him. But at the same time, I never felt like I could do with less of him. Every time he came on, you go, oh, this is going to be good. Yeah. So there's that. And then the only thing I put there in parentheses was just kind of on behalf of all of us, because because I know it's true. It wasn't a cut. It wasn't you're fired or released, but the loss of Bray Wyatt, I think, is a huge tears in our beers moment. I think we're all going to feel for a long time. And I mean, I have pictures and toys of him up still, and I find myself just staring at him sometimes in the middle of a quiet day and just thinking like, fuck,
Yeah, what could have been.
What was and what could have been,
He was on my list a couple years ago, and it choked me up because like I wanted to put him down for this too, right? Like,
yeah,
because when he was let go back then, he was the only answer, and I believe I came on the Boozies and said that like he's the only answer. He's the only one I ever want to see back. He's the only one I ever want to see do this thing called sports entertainment because he makes you believe it.
Yeah.
And fuck, man, it sucks.
Yeah. And I know that I think
sucks.
we all said the same thing. I think none of us had anybody but Bray. It was like, well, that's the easy one, right? Like, and so yeah, he wasn't cut, and it wasn't that. But as far as going to miss the most, I just feel like we'd be remiss not to at least mention and give a little cheers to Bray on the other side, And thoughts to his family going through the holidays without him 4 months after.
Yeah.
Fucking impossible, man. Impossible.
Yeah.
Moving along, dress to impress, the best gear. This one I thought was kind of a tough one, and a lot of people are looking pretty slick nowadays. I went with Zelina because this year Zelina has really put a major effort into her gears being thematic, and they all have a meaning behind them. Whether or not it's a meaning I get all the time, some of them are anime related. But the one thing that really stood out to me that I really couldn't stop thinking about when I was thinking about gear over the year was her in Puerto Rico. And that moment she got to have, the flag she got to wear, they already made it into a toy. There's a whole LWO set. There's like $120. Comes with all of them from that night. And her with the big flag behind her is the drop of the whole thing. She's center and arms out in the box. And like, it was a moment. It was a moment that she'll never forget, probably highlight of her career to this day. And I just kind of want to tip my glass to her for that one on this year. Like, you're not going to have that opportunity to be the first time again, no? Let's kick it back over to, let's go Clump. Clump, dress to impress, best gear.
I mean, I always am tempted to say Cody because Cody, it's simple, but it's always good. Because Cody's he always looks good and comes out. I'm actually going to go for the same pay-per-view. I'm going to go for Carlito coming out. Like not necessarily gear, but he came in and he looked like a monster. And, like just the reaction, like the whole moment, I think part of your gear is your presence.
Okay.
And his presence was just so felt.
Yeah, that's true. I thought you might say Gunther to be a dick.
Black Trunks, yeah. Yeah, Minoru Suzuki, just, wearing those little tights.
Yep.
I mean, I was tempted to say Damian Priest because he always wears weird sex gear.
Yeah, I mean his kinky gear is pretty sick, dude. I will not take that away from him. He's got the kinky gear. Mommy's on top. Dom likes to get pegged. A little on the nose, and I'm into it, dude. Into it.
No, Damian Priest gear though. To be fair, he the homages to Scott Hall with the dripping blood through within the Puerto Rico flag stripes and everything. Like he definitely has some really cool design gear, but it definitely is
a lot of detail.
On that S&M train. So
yeah, it makes us feel.
It does.
Bishop, best gear.
I went for a little personal on this one. We were at SummerSlam this year, and very first match of the night was a live action superhero named Ricochet. And the first thing the kiddo said was, he's wearing Optimus Prime gear. And I'll never forget it. I'll absolutely never forget Ricochet's Optimus Prime gear from SummerSlam. Other than that, Ray has been doing good with her gear, some of her best gears. But no, that Optimus Prime gear from Ricochet at SummerSlam was legit, and he absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, that was sick. Ricochet is always a good one, and he's always on the list too because his gear is always so fucking cool. Let's see. All right, behind the scenes. This one is the best story that wasn't on TV. So you could do something like, the Brawl Out happened this year, and that was a pretty significant moment in wrestling. whether or not we like the guy or not, or like how it turned out, that moment was big. So it could be something like that, or it could be something that's some sort of charity work that had happened behind the scenes. And so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with the what they do for the veterans is pretty cool. And this Veteran Day, for the entire month, they gave free tickets to any veteran who showed up to any event. All you had to do is show your veteran card, and boom, they were going to let you in. Outside of that, they're currently doing a raffle or it's like an auction for Royal Rumble, where you can quote auction for Triple H's chair, and it's a front row seat up front, which is where quote Triple H would be sitting, which means it's probably going to come with a meet and greet, right? You're probably going to be escorted there, and he's going to be sitting there being like, oh, what do you know what I mean? Like, why would he not be that cool? He's that cool. But that one goes, all the proceeds for that go to the V Foundation, which is for cancer research, which is associated with Connor's cure. Really cool concept and pretty cool deal. And I thought that was pretty dope. Let's move it on over to Bishop. Behind the scenes story or charity work.
Yeah, I think what TJ and Natty do in the Dungeon 2.0. We talked about it a few times on here on an episode 1 or 2. On episode 1 or 1, apologies. That they take it upon themselves. I mean, I doubt WWE pays them, to get these guys to get extra work, and maybe those guys pay them, but they talk about it all the time, working with people who need more polish. And they got their own Dungeon 2.0 where they help train their fellow wrestlers, keep everybody in ring shape, help people come back from injuries. And TJ's work, just period, with the company and everything he does for the women's division is awesome. So I'm glad to shout them out on this one here.
Yeah. I think that's fucking brilliant. Clump. Also, before I go to Clump, fuck off, Clump. Before I go to Clump, second to the Natty and TJ, the Workhorse Academy. Not only is that just a great thing they're doing behind the scenes, but it's something that so actively impacts what we see on the scene, like on screen, but also in the scene. They're not just training WWE people. You see the videos all the time. These are people I haven't seen before. Some of them I recognize. Some of them are in AEW. Some of them are in TNA. Some of them are WWE. Some of them NXT. Some of them main roster. It's if you're in wrestling and have the chance, you're going, right? And so this is something that has a direct impact on the larger product, not just what we like to ingest, but whether you like it or not. Natty and TJ are making sure that they're helping the industry as far out as they can possibly reach, and that's fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
All right, Clump. I love you, Clump.
I got 2. Positive one. I'll always shout out Sammy for Syria. Sami Zayn's, what he does for getting people medicine and mobile hospitals in Syria, which is still an absolute just wreck of a situation.
The shirt this year was the My Dog shirt, and I was sick.
Yeah. This one's harder to say, but the outpouring of support for JoJo and for Bray, for his family, the outpouring of people talking about how big of an impact he had on them as a wrestler, just that, and seeing people from every corner of the industry talking about him, that was, it made it harder to go through, but in a sense it also made it easier because you got to see that this person that meant so much to you also meant so much to the world that you admire that they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like we said, even they just recently gave him a Legends contract to make sure that his family can keep seeing residuals and stuff. So, yeah, incredible. All right, at that, I'm going to give us a real quick top of the thank you cheers to Fans First Sports Network for keeping us going over here. Well, cheers to them, our drinking buddies.
Cheers, brother. Cheers.
Clump, how you liking the English ale? That's one of my favorite English ones.
It's gone.
So you liked it, right?
Yeah, it's. I like Boddington a lot. I like Boddington. I like Guinness. I like the little ball that they have in there. So when you pour it into a glass, it has that perfect head. Yeah.
It used to be
Balls
a bone.
and head and bone
A long time ago. And there's people who I think in the taps it still has it. The tap itself that pours the Guinness has a piece of bone. I think it's cow bone. So vegans can't actually drink Guinness on draft. They can only drink it out of a can.
Nice.
And if they don't know that or don't do it, then they're like a piece of shit vegan, and you should definitely ridicule them. Definitely call them a poser. Do those kinds of things. Just anything hateful. You know what I mean?
Anything hateful to vegans, I'm in support of.
You know, but whatever, man. Cheers to the vegans. You know, Chaim.
No, not even a little. No.
Do you like Schmittix?
That one I've not heard of.
It's spelled Smithwick's, and everyone thinks
Okay.
it's Smithwick's, and it's a Guinness product, but it's really good. But when you go to a bar and you're trying to impress the bartender, you call it Schmittix, especially if it's an Irish pub. Then you're legit, dude. They
Are
will
you
give
supposed to
you an
say it
extra-
like you're mid-drunk to sound it?
I think they wrote all of their words drunk. So
There are jokes we could make that are not great to make anymore.
we have yet to make good ones. So
I think that's 3/4 of the catalog from the 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
that's true. Let's start off this one with the holy shit moment, the biggest surprise of the year 2023. I'm gonna say it because it's just hard to say it's anything else. No matter how many things I personally was more impacted by, or I was more surprised by, or that I loved more, I really think Punk's return to WWE
Damn it.
was probably the biggest one. And we can all say that if we want to. We don't have to, because realistically, what made this return so big is that, well, for one, a year ago, Punk was in a multi-year contract with AEW. So if you were to say by the end of the year, he's going to get fired and be out, people will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? That's ridiculous. It's not how contracts work, right? I don't understand contracts, you know, but he was signed to a company for multi-years last year. He gets fired in a way that's very unbecoming.
Mhm.
And the idea of him getting back into WWE before AEW existed was already like, no matter how badly Vince or Triple H try, he's not going to do it. And at that point, once he got fired, it was no matter how much CM Punk tries, they are not going to bring him in because of how it all went. And we even said at the time, the only way Punk's getting into WWE is if he checks his ego at the door in a major way. And we've never seen anything from Punk publicly that have led us to believe that he has the ability to set his ego aside.
Yeah.
As it turns out, like he says, I've changed. And there's a very good possibility he truly has. He's gone through so much in the past year. There's a very real possibility that so much of it has altered his brain, his perception of who he has been and who others were. Was it Freddie Prinze Jr. said on his podcast that one time CM Punk was out on screen and Triple H was next to Freddie and said, you know, the only difference between him and us, you know, me and like Cena, is we're in the position he wishes he was. But if he was in our position, he would be doing the exact same thing. And once he ended up in AEW, people were like, yep, he's doing the exact same thing that they were doing, right? So it's just surprising because it needed so much to happen. And it happened. So, and I wish for the best for him. Again, not a big fan personally. But if he really has changed perspective, then great. We can all benefit from that. But like it or not, it was a pretty like, oh shit, a lot happened to get us to this moment, you know? So with that, I'm going to scoot over to Clump because Clump, I think you had the same thing.
I did, but it was more the reaction. That reaction to him, that it was so positive still. I mean, in a sense that Punk's always been, it had to be in Chicago. I'll go with that all day long. I don't think he would have gotten that reaction in other places to that extent, but he has a star power to him that I'm surprised by, given that to me his run in AEW kind of floundered. You know, it was an exciting like, oh wow, he's back moment, but then you didn't see much of him that I would argue that if you didn't know of him, was like, okay, well, what's so important about him? He's not doing much.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I like that perspective on it too. Bishop, what'd you have as your holy shit moment, biggest surprise of the year?
Yeah, I mean, while I agree with the way you laid out the Punk stuff, for me, even when he showed up, I just had a deadpan reaction. I was like, okay, they actually did it, because to all your guys' points, it's just so flat for me. Because it is about what you can do now. Can you do it? In AEW, you couldn't do it, in my opinion, but
Mhm.
what I think what Clump was getting at is that even though he under-delivered, the support just stayed flat for him. They never wanted to knock down his legend status while he was in AEW. At least the fanship didn't, They never turned on him, which was crazy to me. Crazy to me. Even after he left and the incident happened, people are bitching at Jungle Boy because he forced Punk out and like to see the craziest shit. So it's really, really odd. But again, I will take this to SummerSlam because I was there. Triple threat match with Bianca, Charlotte, and Asuka.
Yeah.
Moving along. I thought Charlotte lost her top. Holy shit. And then that didn't happen. And then Bianca wins. Holy shit. She won. And then holy shit, Io Sky cashes in. And being live for a cash in is the craziest thing I've ever seen in wrestling. It just, you ride the ups and downs of a match that you see live, just soaking in the match, watching the performance. Here you go, left, right. You see all this shit. Bell rings. Okay, cool. Then the music hits of one of the best musics of all time. And then you realize what's happening. You go, oh my God, I get to see something really fucking cool. Io's cashing in the title right now. So I started to feel bad for all the people who get to see the Damian Priest stuff where it doesn't cash in because I got to see one. It's so fucking cool, man. We were surprised to watch a heel like Io. Everyone enjoy the moment for Io and then go back to booing her the next week was phenomenal. She got to soak in the moment, be the baby face of the moment, 8-second match, and just, it was beautiful. So my holy shit moment, probably for the rest of my wrestling life, is seeing Io cash in at SummerSlam.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with the sentiment there because I know the biggest holy shit moment of my life to this day is going to be Becky winning the Rumble because I was just right there, Moving along, comeback of the year. I'm gonna start with Clump. Clump, what's the biggest comeback of the year to you?
This is a hard one. I mean, I would say Jey Uso. I would say that because, yes, I never really been off, but seeing him like have this resurgence in his singles career, I was also going to argue he's my breakout star, but him as a solo competitor has been pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Bishop, who was your comeback of the year? Is it one of the 3 Cody comebacks?
No. Chelsea Green. That was what I was alluding to earlier. Chelsea's someone when she was in NXT, arrived on Raw, she would have a match and get injured. And there was all this hype around her because people knew who she was and I had no fucking clue. And every time I saw her, I was like, oh, okay. She goes out on the indie scenes, messes around with her husband, does a whole bunch of stuff that just looks stupid. I was like, whatever. She comes into WWE and does the whole let me talk to your manager shit backstage. And then she does, all these verbal antics. Then she gets in the ring and looked pretty good. So the fact that she went from me not wanting to see anything she's ever done to actually being entertained by her, by all means, I'll give her the respect of comeback of the year for sure. For sure. And I thought she had a solid run with the tag titles, with the whole, as we talked about in episode 1, the percentage of wrestling to talking is what really weighed on how entertaining she was. But I thought the overall run she had this year was night and day from what we've seen from her in the past. So congrats to her on coming back and making an impact.
Yeah, and what could have been with her and Carmella as a team.
Yeah.
They just started it when it's like, oh my God, this is gonna be gold. But
go around and have a baby.
Going around and having the baby, and congratulations to her for such. For me, the comeback of the year, the biggest comeback in all of wrestling was Clump. making his big return back to wrestling on the rocks. That's my guy.
Oh,
Oh, little buddy.
welcome back. Welcome
back.
Welcome back.
You still got it.
You still got it. By that we mean gas.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can still outrun my own shits though.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
good.
callback to an episode 1. Let's see. Oh, GR Lunar even says clump, 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 clump. Clump, clump, clump it up. Clump, clump, clump it up. You know what I mean? Like where
Yeah,
there's
if I
a
knew I was
clump,
going
there's
to
a
come
good
back, I
clump.
would. Yeah, if I knew I was going to come back, I wouldn't have sold my, giant PC and podcasting setup that I had.
It was interesting.
Yeah,
It was interesting when you want to come back and said, I've got an iPad now. I'm like, okay. Well,
yeah.
different.
Got an
Let's
iPad,
see.
got AirPods.
Yeah, there's people that podcast with less. You'd be all right.
Wait, you have AirPods and you're not using the AirPod mic?
Yeah, I am.
That's interesting. You just can't hear the whole room, can you? Oh, all right. Well, whatever. Rookie. I mean, hey, wouldn't be clump.
Yeah.
Rookie of the year for 2023, and for me, I went specifically rookie on the main roster, not rookie in wrestling, because for rookie in wrestling, you could always do like a Logan Paul who's had 6 matches. You could always do like last year, Tiffany Stratton who had like none matches. A year or 2 ago, you could have put, Jade Cargill because the first match ever was on TV. You know what I mean? But for me, I went with main roster because the main roster is such a different beast, and we've seen it time and time again between NXT and the main roster. There's constant lost in translations, constant not working the same way, and what kind of adjustments have to be made. And for me, this one person meshed in so well on a high level, and that was Grayson Waller. He was my rookie of the year because this year alone, we got to see him talk face to face to John Cena and not feel out of place. We got to see him run the Waller effect with a lot of top guys. And at no point did it feel like, what's he doing there? You know what I mean? Like, to me, Waller's one of my favorite heels right now to watch grow. And I felt like he shoehorned himself right into the main roster and made an impact in a really big way. So with that, I'm going to go over to Bishop. Bishop, what do you got?
I agree, man. I had Grayson Waller too. I had a real hard time with this category because I was looking at last year and I had Roxanne Perez because when she made 2 appearances, one on Raw, one on SmackDown, and didn't look out of place, and then absolutely killed it in NXT. But then I looked back at the year before that and I went with Bianca because her main roster run completely outperformed her NXT run. And you can see when you come to the next level and you do put in the work. Again, we had his first match on the main roster was against Edge, and then he goes against AJ Styles and Jey Uso and Rey Mysterio and Bobby Lashley, and not one match do you go, oh, this guy sucks. It's why having Logan Paul as a breakout star last year, because he was just phenomenal, out the gate. So I think Grayson Waller definitely deserves it. And to that point, hopefully we get someone next year who is really just a burst on the scene, talent, no other, because that would be really cool to see.
Yeah. Club, who you got?
Probably Trick.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I like what they're doing with him. I think he's got charisma in spades. He does great in the ring. I think Trick's got to be mine.
All right, that's fair. I don't problem with that. I wouldn't have been shocked if you put him as breakout. But rookie, I
almost went with Trick because he's been around just as long as everyone else, but he finally has the opportunity to wrestle and show his own. And in that kind of context, when you really aren't doing the wrestling, I mean, if you're a manager for 3 years and then you wrestle, you're technically a rookie wrestler, So I can buy Trick. I almost went that way too.
And Trick's a great example of the potential of Jade Cargill in a way.
Yes.
Right? They didn't put him out there too fast, too hard. They really slow played him and gave us the slow burn on him while they were working with him. So when he came out, he would not miss, right? it feels like that we could start seeing, like you said, next year you want to see Jade and Bailey. I don't know if we even see Jade this coming year. Not till the end of the year, maybe. But if we do, I know it's going to be impactful and it's going to be that slow burn. Okay, let's have her do a couple of promos and start on the live loop. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be that kind of thing. Jade's going to be wrestling in front of people, not on TV first while she's building a program. Like, and hopefully it's against someone like a Bailey. But yeah, I think Trick's a great example of that system protecting people when they need it because their potential is so great. Breakout star of the year, breakout performer. I'm gonna go with Bishop. Whoop, whoa! Hey, here we go. Whoop,
Yeah,
episode
go Bishop. Cut the camera.
Yep.
And go. I was tossing with this one too because I think whoever was going to go for breakout performer was going to end up in the wrestler of the year conversation as well, be it male, female, or overall. So for breakout, I'll just give it to Dom. I think what Dominic Mysterio has done this year has been so far and above what any IWC hater could ever think was possible. So much so that they still don't give him credit, and I love it. At Survivor Series War Game, he's getting chants, Dom, you suck, while he's inside of a cage. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
In a cage with 8 people.
Yes.
There's 8 people doing things and they're like, fuck that guy.
And from the match at WrestleMania with his dad forward, he has been on his own, really cultivating his own career. Yes, he's with Judgment Day, but the character and in-ring work has been supported by Judgment Day only to a whisper of Rhea is what gets him to the next level. Those early promos of the Judgment Day, what was happening, right? They would boo Dom out the building, and as soon as Rhea would talk, they would stop. Yep. And that type of organic character growth, while, by the way, putting on fucking amazing matches. And to your point earlier about what Becky's been doing going up and down, Dom's the only other one. Dom has been going up and down with NXT all year long. And I don't want to say he didn't do anything for NXT title, but what he did is he brought the eyes and remindering from Raw to NXT. Why? Because you want him to lose. And that's what you want out of heels, is you want them to lose. And the matches that Dom has had have been fucking awesome as well. So shouts to Dom for being a breakout performer. A kid who we watched wrestle during the pandemic looked like he couldn't tie his own shoelaces, to a kid now who they trusted with CM Punk's first match back. So shouts to Dom.
Yeah, brought us the first Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. That was a big deal. And Rey Mysterio remains undefeated in Cinnamon Toast Crunch matches. So, big shouts to everything that the Mysterios are bringing to us, Cinnamon Toast Crunch and all. I hope to see more of that. As far as it got me buzzing, I want to see Rey Mysterio's streak continue and have some more Cinnamon Toast Crunch matches that he wins.
Well, that's the next category. We got to do breakout performer.
Breakout performer. I thought it was someone else next. It's me. I need my glasses. For breakout performer of the year, I went with the easy one, the shoe-in, the stupid not to say it, because he's got everybody saying L.A. Knight. Yeah. You know, I let him talk to me. I say it when I'm supposed to. To be honest, though, what he's done this year, I mean, Dom did great thing, but prison changes a man, right?
Yes.
There's only so much you can do on your own, but once you are hardened by prison, you're just going to be different. So, LA Knight, what he did is he went from a manager of models. He wasn't even the one wrestling. He never wrestled as Max Dupree. It wasn't even Max Dupree. Nope. Like how weird, how crazy to think about that too, right? Just from the indie days when he was Eli Drake, it was Eli Drake. He comes into NXT and he's L.A. Knight. He goes to the main roster and they're like, "How about we give you Max Dupree?" Like, what was with why'd you have to do that at the end, you know? And apparently, it got to the point, supposedly, and unconfirmed and ridiculously rumored, that he almost tried to walk out of the company. He was like, look, I'm stopping this or I'm just not going out there. And they kind of kowtowed to him a little bit and just said, you know what, fine. But if you fail, you're done for. And he goes, that's all I ask. The chance to not fail, right? Or the chance to fail. And he goes out there and he becomes LA Knight, just rocket launched into the stratosphere of superstar, the megastar, #1 merch seller for months. Even with Punk being back, he was like the #1 merch seller for the day and two, and his shirt was the #1 seller. But the overall of the month was still LA Knight.
Yeah, Punk had the overall had the #1 item, but LA Knight had the overall sales.
Yeah. And it was like, it's insane to give that guy a platform to try it out and to win them over. And it's something we all saw. Clump, you and I were going on and on about him on our old happy hour show when we do watch alongs to NWA Power. We're just like, this fucking guy.
Yeah, he's fucking fantastic.
Yeah. So for me, it's LA Knight. He's another guy I got to meet that was a really good dude. And I've been a big fan of his for a long time. And I kept saying it all of the year before. I was talking to people and telling them if they just gave him a chance, I'm telling you, he'd win over the whole crowd. And I was ridiculed by major people. A lot of people were telling me, nope, he's a one and done. A lot of people I hear even say on the side of their mouth that they think that they're going to kind of run this run up until Mania, and then he's just going to that's going to be the end of his career, more or less. He's going to do nothing else. Like, they're just going to let that peter out. I just don't see it.
That's such a terrible wrestling take, because when you look at how protected his pop is right now, they don't overuse it. When he wasn't on Survivor Series, they waited until the right moment to bring him out on the next SmackDown. They save his pop. They don't. They do not abuse it. They do not overuse it. There's zero chance that they're going to run this dry. Zero.
Yeah. Dude, he comes out once a show. He's not coming out 2 or 3 times. You know what I mean? I think
he makes that show.
Yes. And he makes it matter too. Like, you remember that, and people are waiting for that. I remember at SmackDown when I was there, we were all disappointed he didn't show. A lot of people I heard even in the hallways, I thought LA Knight was going to be here. You know, it turned out he had like COVID or some shit that week. So
I even said it when we went to SummerSlam. You know, the LA Knight chants in the hallway, in the causeways, in the crowds, it replaced the woos. You know, you go to a show, everyone they think they can woo, so they want to start a woo thing. It was done. Everything was LA Knight, and then everyone in the crowd, everyone in the walkways. Yeah, like it took it. It's here. It's here, and it's staying.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where it's like, we always talk about being right is always a good thing, right? But LA Knight's one that I've been behind for a long time, and it's been really cool to see him get that opportunity and to do it. And it's been funny to hear the people who were ridiculing me for saying so much about him are using my exact rhetoric on their podcasts and stuff and saying, oh yeah, there's this. And you're like, okay, well, whether you believe it or not, you know that it's not true, or you know that it's true. Right. So for me, breakout performer, LA Knight, I think was an easy get for me. Just, I get happy when I see him and see those reactions. Plus, his arms are so fucking big, dude. Did you see when he was pointing over at Roman next to AJ? His arm was fucking half. It was so fucking big. It's ridiculous, dude. Clump, speaking of big old thick arms, what's your one more round? Something you wanted to see more of that you didn't quite get enough of this year. You got a little taste of it. You wish you got more. You're going back for seconds. You want a double scoop. You got one scoop.
I mean, I liked it. I think we could see more of Jake Paul.
Jake Paul or Logan Paul?
Logan Paul, yeah.
Okay, because Jake Paul was on a kickoff show for one of Logan's matches, and it was fucking rough.
Never mind, yeah. Logan Paul. I hate the dude as a social media guy. I hate the dude as a YouTuber. But as a performer, you can't knock what he does. He does it so fucking well. I could see more of him. I think him as a heel and like really leaning into it would be absolutely amazing. Like leaning into all, I think that there's just so much you could do with it, and he's fantastic.
Yeah. That's an easy one. Let's go to Bishop. Bishop, what do you got? One more round. Something you wanted more of. You only got a taste, and you want it all up in your mouth.
Yeah, Cody losing singles matches. He didn't lose.
All right, you're out. Just kidding.
He didn't lose clean all year. His loss to Roman had, interference. His loss to Brock Lesnar was a pass out, not a submission, which it is clean, but it's just take a fucking 3 count and overcome something, not just the inability to be in the main event for the title. Having his story weave through and get to where he needs to work with Jay to get the tag titles and work with the group in Survivor Series to overcome these obstacles. It brings more depth to the story to actually get fans like me, because I know I'm not the only one, to give a shit about him winning. So I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah.
I got one more though. Something that was thrown into WrestleMania that we haven't quite had before and we haven't had since, and I'd like to see more of it, was the tag team showcase matches. Those 2 matches, night 1 with the men and night 2 with the women, they were happenstance and they were fucking awesome. And I'd like to see stuff like that again, where we just get a full-on display of our division and a definitive winner. But a chance to see a lot of our favorites in one match and put on good stuff. So those are my positive and negative takes of one more round that I'd like to see.
Yeah, that was a crazy take. Those tag matches were easily some of those throwaway from that entire Mania, dude. It was like, what are you talking about?
Dude, the first one was amazing. It was the talk of night 1 until night 1 progressively got better and better and better and better. I thought they were great.
Guys match?
Yeah.
I barely even watched it. I could not give a shit.
That's the problem. Go back and watch it. You'd be like, you know what?
No point. No point. If you can't get me to watch to begin with, it can't be the match of the night.
I would just like to see more stuff like that. That's one more round. Because everything else, honestly, dude, the way we've been talking about WWE lately, they give us what we want. We're not really missing out on a lot of things. So, those unique things like a tag team showcase or what you're about to go about, because I thought about that too. These gimmick matches that we got, the Slim Jim Battle Royal. Like,
I thought you were gonna say Slim Jim Battle Royal.
Yeah.
When you said at Mania, I was like, he's going Slim Jim, fucking breaking into it right now, dude. He's gonna snap into this, and you did not. You let me down.
But no, I just like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
More ladder matches. Shit like
More
that.
ladder matches.
More fun stuff to see more of your favorite talents. But
more Cinnamon Toast Crunch matches.
Hell yeah.
Dude, Cody lost definitively to Brock clean.
Whatever.
Clean as fuck. He got choked the fuck out. When you're watching UFC and someone goes out by choke out, you go, what a fuck finish, huh?
No. So the end of this, the story told in that match and the ending of it was about how resilient Cody is, not how badass Brock is for choking him out. That's the problem that I have.
It took Brock having to choke him out to put him out. I'm gonna choke him out.
Right,
this isn't fucking Seth Rollins, where all you're gonna do is kick him in the balls a few times. You know what I mean? Like a Rochambeau for the title, I'm always down for, but it's not the best story of a match. It's a Rochambeau. AJ and Shinsuke had a good Rochambeau. Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar was all Rochambeau. Brock Lesnar choked him out. Choked him like a chicken, dude.
Yeah, but didn't beat him. Cody didn't lose that match.
He lost.
He
did not stay awake. If
and
you
that's
fall
the
asleep
only
during a
reason
movie,
why he lost.
you lose the movie.
He should have been pinned. But no, let's protect Cody because he's Dusty boy.
But Vince McMahon hates Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, he got fucked for years by Vince. He's good.
He's good. Yeah, if you want to see him lose, just go back to his first run. He did a lot.
Yeah, go back to Stardust.
Yeah, his resiliency and his story didn't start the moment he came back. His story goes back. Goes back to little mustaches. Dope. Dude, did you see, because they just released a new Stardust figure, when they were doing on the last premium live event, they were having everyone be like, oh, for the holidays, buy this toy and here's our merch. And they had Cody
just covers it up slowly.
He just slid a Roman figure right in front of Stardust while he's looking away. So fucking good, dude. It was awesome. for me, for my one more round, something we wanted to see more of that we didn't get enough of. This is probably, I wouldn't say controversial, but it probably would be something I have to defend, is I'm putting damage control. Because as a unit, they didn't get the chance to shine in a way that I think that they should be able to shine. And realistically, the injuries kept derailing where the story was going. It's kind of dragged out without purpose, and I'd like to see more purpose put into damage control. And with the addition of Asuka into it, I feel like we're getting that direction. The injury that sustained Charlotte, I feel like kind of revitalized where we at. Bailey's kind of upped it up a notch in her role in damage control. I want more of this damage control because the damage control we had in the beginning felt like it should have been bigger than it was and just seemingly could not get their footing. They seem to be jobbing all the time. And I want the potential of what this group is, what this women's faction is, to be played out.
You're full of shit.
Oh, fuck you, dude. I'll fart in your mouth, dude.
They main evented like a big 4 pay-per-view now.
Oh, you talking about fucking the War Games?
Yeah, it's a big 4 pay-per-view.
That wasn't the main event, dude. The main match.
They like co-main evented it.
In the first match that opened
The first match is, as Bruce Pritchard said, the first match is about as important as the last match.
Well,
If you ain't first.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
Main event. If you're a main event, but you're not last, well, then you're first.
Yeah.
No, it's, I mean, shit, WrestleMania had like 6 main events, you know? 3 for each night.
Yep.
Every match is a main event match.
I don't disagree on damage control, and I think it's because we talked about it, I believe, on episode 1, how the new promo kind of set things forward in another direction. It reset the Bailey leaving to the Bailey in control. So I like it.
Yeah. With that, I'm gonna cheers Fans First Sports Network as we get into our final spread of the Boozies. This is the top 5 categories, guys. The categories.
Poop.
Cheers to Fans First. This is the poop. Starting with This Is Awesome Moment of the Year. I'll go ahead and kick it off because to me, this moment I have still not recovered from, in the sense that nothing has excited me at all more than this moment since then. So I've had a bit of an issue. Yep. For me, WrestleMania, Sammy and Kevin Owens versus the Usos winning the titles. The moment that Sammy and KO got to win and kind of brought their whole thing. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Bishop's asking a question instead of just doing it. Did you do Breakout Performer of the Year, Clump?
You've like skipped me in the last 2. That's cool.
You did one more round.
No.
What? What was your breakout?
I didn't do one more round, and I didn't do breakout.
What are you talking about?
You did Logan Paul as one more
You did
round.
Logan Paul.
I did rookie. Wait, no.
Rookie was correct.
I skipped. Whatever. But it's
What was
all
your
good.
breakout? Who's your breakout?
Breakout, Jay.
Oh, yeah, it was Jay. Yeah, that's right.
Wait, no, that was your comeback of the year.
Comeback was Jay. Is he breakout also?
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, it works out.
I mean, it's the same content. If it's Jay, you say the same thing again. He's badass and doing yeet.
Yeah.
And he got yeet back. You know. Ain't bad.
You got yeet banned.
If you ain't first, you're yeet. You know?
Exactly.
And then, yeah, you want one more round. You wanted more Logan.
No, hell no. Nah. That wasn't
said
the one
that.
more. No,
Yes, it was.
No.
What was Logan Paul then?
Yeah, why'd you say Logan Paul?
I don't even remember at this point, guys. Let's just
All
move
right.
on.
Well, what's your one more round?
I appreciate you trying to help me out, man, but
It's really hurting. It's hurting more than helping.
it ain't working out, dude.
Only episode 1.
You're just like highlighting my inadequacies.
Well, that's not true. It's ours.
No, I thought you got skipped on breakout performer because it sounded like you said Jake and Logan Paul for one more round.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll just go with that.
Okay. Well, what was your one more round? What do you want to see more of? You just wanted to see more Logan, you said.
I mean,
you said no, that. Man. So what did you actually write down? Are you deleting it as you go, dude?
He's just been winging it the whole time.
Never gonna need it again.
My bad.
I think my one more round would be Becky in a positive storyline.
Yeah, another round of Becky on top.
There we go. We're back.
Yeah.
My bad.
But my This Is Awesome moment was Sammy and KO winning. I mean, they even had their PWG logo on their pants. They had the matching logos with the tape. Fuck, anyone who knows their story, and a lot of us have had to piece it together a little bit outside because they haven't told it all up front, but even within the context of the company, they've told a lot. For them to get to that crescendo, it was really interesting too, because this is the year after Kevin Owens main evented Stone Cold Steve Austin. And you go, what could he do that could possibly feel bigger than that? Because the year before that, he had a one-on-one, or 2 years before that, a one-on-one. 1 year before that. He had a one-on-one match with Sammy versus KO. And they'd always dreamed of having a one-on-one match together at a WrestleMania. Well, they did it. Well, what can I do to top that? Versus Stone Cold. That's amazing. What can I do to top that? What if Sammy and KO win the tag team titles for the first time ever at the main event of WrestleMania? And they did that. And that was fucking crazy. And I honestly think it was the last time I got teary-eyed watching wrestling. And to be honest, it really... But after that, having the Cody moment stripped away, it's felt like an uphill battle getting back as excited as I was in than that particular night, right? And ever since then, everything has felt like a little bit less than. No matter how excited I've got about something, it's like, yeah, but fuck, dude, it blew my load. I adrenaline jumped and I dumped, and I am fucking trying to reload. You know what I mean? So for me, it was that level of crescendo where it's like they did it. They did the thing that it's all I wanted to see for so many years, and they did it. So for me, that was the moment of the year. Moment of the year. Clump, what do you got for moment of the year?
Moment of the year for me, probably. I mean, Randy coming back, because they telegraphed, but the way they did it, even though they telegraphed it, was still so good. And it was nice seeing him come back, and it made me give a shit about Randy Orton, which I haven't in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, regardless of them telling us he was coming back, the fact he was coming back was already like dope. And then everything he did that moment and moving forward, just like this was worth it.
I think that's the special part about Randy coming back, is he felt different. Because a lot of these comebacks, announced or not, they don't feel like a different performer, different purpose. This Randy feels like a different performer, different purpose, especially since the last time we saw him was tag team fucking around with Riddle, you know? And this, he seems to be Daddy Orton is Daddy Orton. So I definitely agree with Clump's perspective there for sure.
Yeah, me too. Bishop, what was your This Is Awesome moment of the year?
Yeah, so I moved the EO cash in to my holy shit moment. Because while I was messing around with some other things, to your point, Marsh, about Zelina's gear, I think that This Is Awesome moment of the year for me was just WWE in Puerto Rico. Oh, that entire PLE was beyond exceptional. Just from the fans themselves counting in Spanish, you know, and the energy they had behind every single performer. A match of the year candidate, 2 of them, EO and Bianca, and Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. You know, I all these things were up in consideration for me in other categories. That just WWE's event in Puerto Rico was so special, so magical, a vibe and wrestling environment that we haven't seen translate through the screen on TV for an entire run. I was exhausted by the end of the Bad Bunny match, that there was more wrestling afterwards that I didn't even need to see. And we're talking about some Roman, some Jey Uso, like there was a lot to go. And they just absolutely crushed it. So anytime WWE wants to go back to Puerto Rico for a PLE, I'll be watching with bells on. I can't miss it. I thought it was the greatest thing we've seen translate over the energy translating through the TV for an entire pay-per-view was just amazing. So that's my This Is Awesome moment of the year.
Yeah, to be honest, even with the one more round, I thought that any one of us could have said Bad Bunny in general because of that moment, or even with like Pat McAfee, because every time he comes back, you're reminded of how good both of them. You're reminded how good they are and why we like them so much. And that entrance that Bad Bunny had could have been entrance of the year. I don't have an entrance of the year category, but it could have been, because that was one of the rare times that coming out felt like bigger than an entrance. It felt like we were actually part of a concert. We felt like we were part of a moment because of the fact that they were playing the song and the whole stadium knew the song and you could hear them singing along with it and moving to the beat. And as he did anything, they were shadowing him. It was incredible. I just remember saying, wow, as he was coming out to that whole thing. And I was like, I don't even know what we're listening to, but everything they're doing has me feeling stuff. So,
well, and that stadium was proper packed. We hear about sellout crowds. We hear about the stadium's full. That stadium, the way it looked, the way the camera shot it, it looked like Attitude Era at its peak, absolutely filled to the brim with people coming out. It was amazing.
It felt like a turnaway crowd. It felt like there had to be people who were turned away.
Yeah.
You know? Let's see. Let's go on to, speaking of turnt, match of the year. I'm going to blow through mine real quick because I already blew my load already. I again went with Sami KO versus the Usos WrestleMania. Just the match was so good. The story of it superseded any expectation I had for it, because I felt like going into it, we were a step below, because we were just coming off of Sami's loss to Roman. And I felt like Sami Roman was bigger than this could be. And they went in there and they reminded you, no, this could be bigger than you think. And the whole match itself did it for me. There was a lot of great matches this year. You could say easily almost any Ilya Dragunov match could be talked about. Easily any Cody match could be talked about this. I mean, the Cody Brock series had some sick fucking matches. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened that you just go, oh my God, this is incredible. And I felt like there was a Becky match that just really over delivered. Maybe it was the NXT
Trish in the cage.
Trish in the cage, and also her the one where
first
she lost.
One with Tiffany.
The first one with Tiffany, but the one where she lost to
Lyra. Yeah.
Lyra. That was fucking phenomenal. Like those were all kind of in my minds about it, but those are things that are trying to rebuild my excitement for the thing that I lost after this match because it was so much. And that's why I went with this one. But let's go back to Clump. Clump, what was your match of the year?
Honestly, and that's gonna be weird, I keep going back to, and it's recent, Jay versus Seth for the title. Just because of the meaning behind it to me. Like, it was a really, really good match. They were putting everything into it. It looked good. And there was moments where I'm like, this could go to Jay. This really could go to Jay. You know, you don't think it's going to happen, but it really could. And again, seeing him in that role, stepped up, doing everything, was fucking fantastic.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because what were you going to say about it, Bishop?
No, it's honestly one of Seth's best matches this year, and he wrestled all year long, and it literally one of Seth's best matches this year.
Seth hasn't lost clean over and over a year.
Yeah, it's one of his best matches.
Yeah, but I thought that's why you don't like Cody matches, because he doesn't lose clean.
No, there's a different story happening. Anyway, go ahead. What were you saying?
What was his story? That he just wins all the time?
Yeah, because he's actually good at wrestling.
Since when? He kicked someone in the nuts to win a championship. That's not good at wrestling.
It's not this year. Anyway, what were you saying?
All right. This year he didn't.
Plus,
Bishop,
he loses to Cody all the time.
He did lose Cody all the time.
I had three that I couldn't get away from.
Because Cody's so good at wrestling.
Damian Priest and Bad Bunny was just so good. Amazing. I watched it like 3 times in a row, just trying to see what I missed, and to watch Damian Priest. And shout out to Damian Priest. We didn't give him enough credit earlier on for Breakout and all that stuff. He's just risen to a new level. And honestly, him and Io were the breakouts from Puerto Rico was
Yep.
a Backlash.
Yep.
Because they both went on a rise right afterwards. So anyway, Damien Priest, Bad Bunny, KO and Sammy against the Usos as well. I agree with you. Such a phenomenal match. One of the best tag team matches we've seen in a very long time. The story on story on story on story was just incredible. It became solidified as a great story when watching the press conference with KO not even having the words for the first time ever. KO doesn't have the words. That's how special that match was. But you glossed over it a bit. I went with what match made me feel the most just watching, and it was Roman and Sammy. The match they had in Montreal, the story leading into it on the breakaway from the bloodline, the stuff they brought in with the family, the fact that you thought Sammy really might get it during the match, the entire build, everything, the emotions. And for that crowd, I will absolutely never forget it. They brought that crowd to the highest of highs to dead silence.
Yeah.
And that's how you get fans to invest in what's going on. When you want to talk about who's the best wrestler in the world, when you want to talk about, who draws the most and who can create an XYZ, all this shit. The very first time I've seen that kind of magic all encompassed was that match. The crowd wanted Sammy so bad. And when that 3 hit, the entire crowd knew it was legit and it was over. They had nothing left. And it was amazing. So that's my match of the year, Roman and Sammy.
Yeah, it's hard to argue on. And the only reason I didn't, it was because of how important the match was following with it,
Yeah.
But yeah, and even the story leading up to that, starting at the Rumble, even if you want to talk 2023, the end of the Rumble was Sammy cracking Roman with the chair. It was an incredible story. The honorary Uso.
Yeah.
Honorary Uso as a story of the bloodline kept the bloodline was running cold then. Before Sammy got involved, it was already people are like, okay, how do we get out of this? Like it was already the chatter of like, okay, we've had enough. And then Sammy kind of interjects himself in a way, literally backstage interjects himself in a way that suddenly the crowd starts going, we cannot get enough of this. They rode on the Sammy wave for the entirety of 2022. And towards the end of 2023, or in the beginning of 2023, leading in through into Mania. And that's what made everything about all of that feel so important was Sammy's addition to it. And it was a huge credit to Sammy and what he can bring. I think he's amazing. And for me, that's what's been tough is that Sammy's been my guy for so long. We talked about it before on episode 1. That for me, it's tough because he's reached a crescendo in a way twice, like 3 times in a year that you kind of go, well, possibly is it possible to put him back up there? Like not in a bad way, but is he always going to be a step lower than he has been? Like, cause did he do it? You know what I mean? Like he did it. He was the number 1 story. He was the number 1 merch seller. He finally went from having 1 shirt every 3 years to having like 6 or 7 shirts out, like new shirt every month. They were releasing shirts before they'd show them on TV just so they could start the sales in early. Like,
yeah,
he went from that to 2 match of the years on this show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. There's a lot of Jake Roberts, Roddy Piper, in WWE right now, right? Those guys who are so important, like Kevin Owens, like a Sami Zayn, like an AJ Styles, like even Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, like Baron Corbin, these guys who are just right underneath the main event that are absolutely legit every time you see them. But what else is there for them to do? And will they get that moment? And with those 2 titles, I mean, you've been saying it on episode 1, Marsh, Seth holding the title and not allowing these other guys to have that moment. It's tough. Seth said it on the recap show for the year that he felt he was giving them those moments to be in the main event. Well, Sammy's already been there. Jay's already been there. He headlined SummerSlam. He didn't need Seth on Raw.
Yep. Yeah, you gave them a Raw main event. They've had Mania. They had, Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the other thing is that like there's certain parts of like the Seth person that you're confused at with the character. Does he really think that a match with him for the title is the main event? Because it hasn't been ever. He's never main evented in WrestleMania. So at the same time, he's saying on one side of his mouth, he wants a main event WrestleMania. He had the cash in, and he knows that that's a main event with an asterisk. You know what I mean? He forced himself into the last 2 minutes of a Mania, but he's never been booked or had any tickets sold for him as a main event. And for him as character or otherwise to be like, well, by giving these dudes who were in matches against Roman Reigns on these massive platforms the opportunity to have a main event Raw match is like, but that's the part of it is that's a problem is that you as the champion is a Raw main event.
Right.
And that's it. You as a champion has never been a premium live event main event. No matter what else is on those shows, it doesn't close it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and when it does, it feels like, okay, I can stop watching now. Because it just doesn't feel like you're going to get much. You're going to get a good match. Good to great. But you know what's going to happen, and it makes no impact the next night. You know what I mean? So like you said, they didn't need him, and I feel like that there's a certain degree where his championship needs to beat them to be credible, not that they need to defend for it to look like potential champions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Female superstar of the year. I'm gonna go to Clump. Female superstar of the year.
Rhea.
Yeah, that's an easy dunk.
Yeah, she's had an amazing year. Good God, no. not Meat Planet of the Year. I mean, and even then, I'd give that to Otis or myself.
Oh,
yeah.
Clump 2-time winner of a Boozie.
Rhea's had an amazing year. Both in the women's division and in the men's division. She's been present in storylines, and she's been holding her own, and she's arguably the most important member of Judgment Day.
Yeah. Yep. Bishop, who do you got for female of the year?
Yeah, I messed around and, I was going to do a couple things. I was going to say Jade Cargill because, she caused the biggest waves in WWE when she showed up. But what landed the same thing for me as Clump was with Rhea being the most important member of Judgment Day. Judgment Day was something that was floundering for a little while, but she solidified it with her dominance. That's what allowed Judgment Day to feel credible. So as she moved after WrestleMania with the title, then Dom winning made it feel like Dom's never going to lose. With Trick and Damian winning, I'm sorry, not Trick and Damian, Finn and Damian winning the tag titles, it feels like they're never going to lose because Rhea is legit. So everyone's legit now.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost said it before I even announced the category, and I wish I had, that I felt like this was going to be the only clean sweep of the night, that there was just no way that I think that anyone had an argument outside of Rhea. Like when I try to think of other women who are remotely in those conversations, Io's part of a faction that was largely floundering, and people keep waiting for them to take the title off for somebody else. Quote, somebody theoretically, quote, more important, right? How long until Charlotte takes it off Io so they can take it to Mania, right? Like that was... I heard a number of conversations before Charlotte got hurt. It was okay, so Charlotte's going to take the title off Io so they could build towards a WrestleMania match of Charlotte versus anybody else. It was Io doesn't feel as important as she should, especially considering how good she is. She's tremendous. But Rhea has brought a credibility to Prison Dom and to Judgment Day, and she's just the most undeniable woman on the roster right now in a lot of ways. Like she's the one woman who's getting TV time in men's storylines. And this isn't like Zelina being part of LWO and having a little input here and there. Rhea Ripley's having sit down conversations with Paul Heyman.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like she is arguably the most important member of Judgment Day, and to your credit, like you said, a largely floundering faction even from the beginning.
Yeah.
When it was Edge, we were coming on here on episode 1 being like, what is this? Like, this should be better than it is. And we were largely complaining about the presentation of it and how corny so much of it was and how all of their heel lines came off so old school. Yeah, ugly crowd. Everyone out here looks ugly and fat. I'm not fat. I have money. You're probably poor. And you go, okay, dude, this isn't a fucking territory show in Tennessee where it's just easy to say you guys are dumb and I'm smart. As much as I love Andy Kaufman, so much of his fucking gimmick was telling Memphis that they're stupid and he was smart because he was from Hollywood. We're past those days. You know what I mean? Like if 40 years later you can't cut a promo to make someone mad that's not racist or I fucked your mom, then you're bad at this. And that's what they did in the beginning. And now they're getting boozed because one of their top members went to prison and he was hardened by crime for a night, and everyone around him just agrees with it and moves on. And that's part of the heat.
Yeah, that's my problem with Drew McIntyre and most of AEW is that they don't get booze for what they do. They're trying to get booze for what they say. And Judgment Day absolutely gets booze for what they do and who they are, not what they say. Because what they say is who they are, to your exact point. That was one of the things I loved. Dom's like, when you do Hard Time, and then Finn's like, yeah, tell him, Dom, when everyone knows it was like 12 hours tops, right?
Yeah.
You know, so like them supporting and being this group of degenerates, real degenerates, as opposed to, you know, fun-loving, happy degenerates. It's all solidified around the fact that Ray is a badass.
Yep.
And will fight every woman on the roster and also fight every man. We've talked about this, right? Ray is stepping in front of Dom, begging to get hit by a dude. Isn't let's watch this bad thing happen. It's like, yeah, swing on Rhea. I want to see what happens.
Yeah. She might fuck you up, dude.
Exactly.
She might. Clump,
and
male
she's
super,
always on top.
and she's always on top, and she's always pegging, dude. Always pegging.
Always.
Wouldn't that be a good shirt if just every Ripley on the back said "always pegging"? It's sort of like
No.
written like "always ready" from Matt Cardona, but it just says "always pegging."
No, sell a strap-on strap.
Ooh,
Have it be like a
Call it a
Cody
bull
weight
rope.
belt, but it goes down.
It goes the other way. You turn it around, buckles in the back.
Yeah. There you go.
there you go. Well, who's your male superstar of the year, Clump?
Oh, I'm gonna give it to Seth because he got an impossible task and he's trying.
Yeah, he is. He's giving the best he got.
Like you're gonna make this title important. We're gonna put it on you, and you're trying. You're putting on matches damn near every week. You're not succeeding necessarily, but damn, you're trying.
Seth is easily one of the most frustrating people to love because you can see how great he is all the time, and you know that's just a step shy of what it should be in some way. Not because of his lack of effort, but because of like I said when he cut the promo on Punk, it was the first time it felt like he opened up to the audience. And so like there's like if you would just take one shed layer off, then I think we could
great.
You'd be great and we could support you a little bit more. But right now we just love you for sake of because you put on good matches and you give your all. You try so hard, but you try so hard behind a mask in a way that we're all like, you're not connecting. You're just doing great. You know, just in the worst place to be, I guess. Bishop, who do you got? Yeah. So I don't think it's hard to say that it's a good call. Seth should be male superstar of the year, all things considered. But that click is what's missing for me. Bishop, who do you got? Male superstar of the year?
It's a tough one for me. You know, I've had Gunther in the past. I've had Seth Rollins in the past, Roman Reigns, all that. I honestly, I still don't know. I think I'm going to go LA Knight. I think LA Knight's my male superstar of the year. I think from an overall perspective, he's done the most with the least. From the beginning of the year, having to build the Bray Wyatt match by himself because Bray wasn't on TV, to the end of the year where he comes out in a moment where you're not thinking he's going to be there because they didn't say anything about him, to the biggest pops you get. I really enjoyed everything he did this year, and I think he really supplanted himself as one of the next to be able to try to push through the Piper, Jake Roberts level of, can I be Macho Man? Can I be Hogan?
Yeah. I mean, I went LA Knight as well. Yeah. For all the things I told you about earlier, his ability to go from a model agency manager to mega superstar. You know what I mean? The mega star, the $1 million mega star. his ability to go ahead and connect on a level that a lot of people still say that they think is shallow and wrestling 101 in a world where we have a lot of, I grew up a wrestling fan, till we finally have somebody who goes, I'm here to kick ass and make money.
Mhm.
And it's strangely refreshing. You know what I mean? Because there was a long time that's all you had. We're all here just to make money, right? But he's one of the few characters that comes across as that. And even though you know he was probably a wrestling fan as a kid, they're not going to show a montage of him as a kid in his fucking wrestling buddy pajamas. You know what I mean? Like, he's a dude who's doing this professionally, where a lot of the characters we have nowadays with the Garganos and the Seths is like, it's not people who do this professionally. It's people who do this based purely out of love, and we would do it without pay. And LA Knight comes across as, no, you have to pay me to do this because I'm so goddamn good at this. I'm a pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to send out one honorable mention too to Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
He's
And
someone that
Sammy.
they well. I agree, but my point is he was always able to be the glue to the next thing. So when Sammy was going through the bloodline stuff, KO was trying to say things, and and the second you go, well, KO, you've turned on everyone. How should anyone trust you? But then again, he's the one that they trust to do this, right? They trust in the Cody spot, that they trust in the Sammy spot. They trust him now with getting Austin Theory and Grayson Waller to the next level, right? They've always, so I think he definitely deserves the credit for the kind of work he's done. Because that's what I did with Seth last year when Roman had both titles and no one else had an opportunity to shine. Seth was able to help make other people shine. And for Kevin Owens to do that this year, I definitely think he deserves some credit. It's just that LA Knight just put himself on a whole new level, that him in a match with Kevin Owens, you're expecting LA Knight to win to get to that next level.
Yeah. And like you said, and started with they gave him nothing. They gave him shit. And it was like, and he was the dude. The reason he talks on the way to the ring isn't because they book him for a promo and match. It's because, can I get a match? And then, how long is my entrance? Can I have a mic? He forces it into the entrance because he knows that's what he needs to do to get in his words. And if all he's going to get is 30 seconds on the mic, he's going to get 30 seconds on the mic that's going to get the whole crowd hot. So next time, they want him to have 45 seconds on the mic. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of forces the issue because he knows he can do it. Superstar of the year. For me, I put Cody Rhodes because, like it or not, he's had more matches than anyone else in the company, more wins than anyone else in the company. He's been on more shows than anyone else in the company for the year.
Yeah, he's done live shows.
He's done every live show. He's done almost every TV. He's bounced between the two shows for different reasons here and there. He did the veteran show to bring up the army drill just so people could see him and wave. He gives a signed belt to a kid in the front row every time. He's at all the backstage things. This dude is trying in every way to be what he saw Cena was when he was trying to succeed the first run. And I think that's fucking notable, dude. Other people can give it a go. Bianca's done very well, but and Becky always tries to give it her all and do those things. But when I go to shows and when I see people at shows, especially when Cena's on the road, there's a stack of Cena signed autographs for $25. Nowadays, there's always Cody. Sometimes Cena's are there if there's any left over. You're starting to get some Punk ones. We'll see how long that lasts. Occasionally, I've seen Becky and AJ at live event ones, but you're always going to see the Cody ones and stuff. This dude's trying to be everything he saw Cena be. And I think he's doing a bang-up job of it, and I don't want to neglect that. So that's why I said superstar and not just male or female, because it goes beyond the idea of what has your story been? Who are you to the company, right? And he's a dude who presents himself in the, I'll go do that interview. Yeah, I'll go do that media. Oh yeah, I'll be here early to sign 250 autographs before we get going. It's just, he's doing it, man.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that concept, and he is trying. My biggest problem with him, period, is I just don't feel it. It feels like he's doing the thing, but when he's in the mix of promos and he's in the mix of matches, I don't feel it. I don't feel the status. I don't feel the performance. I don't feel the character. I don't feel the identity. The fact that he can do those things, I get the results. I mean, I bought my kid a bunch of Cody merch because it works, right? So I get that. and good on him. And to your point, he is a superstar. So I definitely won't shit on him in this particular moment. I'll agree with you on that. It's not mine, but I'll agree with you on that.
At the
Give him
same
his props.
time, when Cena was doing all that stuff, I didn't like Cena, and I didn't get it.
Mhm.
So at the same time, I think he is a lot of what Cena was on Cena's first run as the top guy. Like, I think there's a lot there. And I think at some point the crowd's going to split on Cody. And I do think it's going to be the Cody, let's go Cody, Cody sucks. I think that'll happen eventually. Because this does feel very similar to me in that regard. And I can say from another dude I met, when I first met Cody, it was right after his match with Dustin at Double or Nothing. It was the next day. And he was doing like a cigar smoke thing where you could buy one of his cigars and you could hang out in this lounge and smoke with him and get a photo with him and kind of talk to him for a minute. And I went over to him to tell him that before that match, I was not a Cody guy. Kevlar was always telling me how amazing Cody was and how Cody never got a fair shake and how he always thought that they did wrong by Cody and he was doing amazing things on the indies and, all this great stuff about Cody. And I just never saw it, never got it. I went over to him to tell him that after that match, that he won me over as a fan. That I was like, I see so much more in you now than I saw before. And I want to let you know you did your job. Like, you got new fans. You brought in someone. I'm going to be a Cody guy. And he kept kind of cutting me off, saying about how important it was to him to be able to have that match with a crowd with his brother. So his brother could see the types of crowds that he's been performing in front of. And he wanted his brother to experience what he's been experiencing because of the crowd loving him the way that they had and taking him in the way that they had. He felt like his brother would never have experienced something on that level if he didn't get his brother over there to do that. And he just kept talking about how important it was for him to give that match to Dustin. That was the whole point of it. And that's everything he wanted. It was pretty cool to me for me to try to tell this guy about how good he's doing that he just kept going, it's not about that. Look at my brother. Go tell my brother that. You know what I mean? Like, this is all for him. And I did go and tell his brother that, and his brother started crying and shit. So, but
That's all. Well, Dustin also gave so much in that match as well.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah. And so just knowing that about him and knowing that's kind of where his heart is at, I know that what he's doing now is because that's where his heart is at. Same way. He wants that kid to grow up and want to be a Cody or a Cena or, you know what I mean? Like, he was trying to inspire that generation, which I think is so fucking admirable for Superstar of the Year. Let's go Bishop, and then we'll close it out with Clump there. Bishop, who's your Superstar of the Year? Clump, you better have something good ready.
Yeah, I thought about a bunch of things, and I wanted to give Bray the honorary, but we talked about him earlier, and it felt good to hear your thoughts on how much we'll miss him. I was thinking LA Knight, maybe Logan Paul, Dom, Rhea, but we all talked about them earlier. For me, it's Jey Uso. I think Jay's evolution of a character in 1 year, from being one of the most hated to one of the most loved, it just speaks to his talent. To be there at SummerSlam when he started his new wave of the crowd to get them in with his music, he has the crowd in the palm of his hands. Everything he does, he absolutely owns the moment. When he had his first opportunity to open Raw and couldn't speak, one of the best talkers on the microphone, he's really feeling this space that he's in. But again, he started the year in the Royal Rumble where Sammy smacks Roman with the chair, and he has to be torn with what's going on, the emotions that he helped us feel this entire year to get through the loss at WrestleMania, to his turn on Roman, which was one of the highest viewed clips that WWE had all year long, to where he is now as this complete solo star who's ready for the main event scene to hold the title, I think just speaks volume to who he is. And he is my absolute number one Superstar of the Year. He was never in a bad spot. He was never in a bad match. He was never in a bad promo. He was never in a place where you didn't believe everything he was doing and everything he was saying. Even when he said, "I'm out, deuces, oozes," I had no clue what was happening next. And that's why he's my Superstar of the Year. I think Jey Uso absolutely crushed it this year.
Yeah, from the moment he hit the promo of which one are you in the Thunderdome era, it's only been up from there as far as of what he's given. He's gotten in better shape every day. Like he works at a different level than he did before. He's not relying on the family the way that he was before. Even though you can talk about the bloodline, he's not relying on him the way he was before. He's showing up to be on that level, not thinking we're going to do this together. You know what I mean? I've got to provide this. And he's provided so much authenticity for everything he says and does and everything around him that when you see Sammy turn on Roman, you go, oh no, what's Jay going to think? You know what I mean? Like you look at Jay and his reaction, you just go, oh, you know what I mean? Like you feel for him and everything he says and does. He's a dude he's worked for it. He's worked to put meaning behind the main event. Jey Uso was given to him by Paul Heyman in a very condescending way. And he's provided a legitimacy and a meaning to that. And like, yeah. I'm a main event. I can main event. Where when Paul Heyman says like, oh, you're in the main event. You're main event Jey Uso. Being a dick. And now he's all like, no, yeah. Who's in the main event? Jey Uso? Yep, gonna be good. He's provided that meaning there. So I think it's a great one. Clump?
Honestly, Bailey.
Yes! Close it out!
I hazarded to say that because I knew it was going to be a thing like this. And I'm not going to be all like pie in the sky about it, like how Marsh loves Bailey to death. But I think as a pure performer, when it's mic, performance in the ring, telling stories in the ring, everything combined, I can't think of somebody who's done it better than Bailey. And that's in spite of some challenges there with the storytelling and stuff like that. At every point, I feel like, you know, Bailey's taking every second on screen that they have to forward a story and forward their story. And I can't get enough of it.
Well, me too. She puts it all out there, dude. She does it. She gives it all for the story and all that, dude. She really is one of those ones where like you watch what she's doing now and all you can think is, God, imagine what she's going to do when she's done wrestling. Imagine like she could be, I wouldn't be shocked. And I'll say it here now on episode 1, you heard, what do they say? You heard it here first herded the turd. I wouldn't be surprised if she's the one who ultimately takes over for Shawn Michaels in NXT.
Yeah, I can see that.
I wouldn't be shocked if when Shawn Michaels is done and retired that she has passed her years of wanting to be an in-ring performer and says, I'm taking over. Or doing kind of what Triple H did, where Triple H was running NXT and still did a match or two. Like when when Seth Rollins went to NXT to call out Triple H for WrestleMania. Show's called TakeOver. What a great moment that was.
So cool.
Yeah. And then, got Triple H coming up there and be like, get him out of here. Get him out of here. I could see Bailey doing that too. Being the head of NXT, the voice of NXT, the one doing that. And then still being able to do 1 or 2 matches a year to help somebody coming up or coming through, It wouldn't shock me because, like you said, what she provides to her stories and her teams is I mean, I would say unmatched, but you got Natty out there. So let's not pretend Natty's not doing what she can. But and I think her mind for the business, everything I've heard from pros who have talked to Bailey about business are always impressed by her mind for the business. So.
And I actually, when you were saying that, I was like, man, TJ would be a great one to take over NXT too. Everything we hear about what he's done for the women's division on a whole. I had Bailey as an honorable mention for the for my women's superstar of the year. But if I did that, then Ray would have had to been the superstar of the year. And then I wouldn't have had a chance to talk about Jay. And I really thought Jay should have got it. So Bailey's a great one because it's such a, and we love women's wrestling. And it was such a down year on the overall of what we saw for the women, right? You know, we didn't get what we're used to, these overly impactful women's storylines and things like that. There was no Becky Bianca this year, that type of storyline. Because in our collective opinion here, I think I can speak for everyone, Rhea beating Charlotte at WrestleMania was a course correction, a wrong that was righted, not a moment she needed as far as her particular story goes. She should have beat Charlotte the first time, So, getting Io as the champion, but still in the faction. We just didn't have that kind of year for the women. So I thought Bayley definitely deserves it as well, just for being able to really be a mainstay in the women's division and keep the women relevant. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and she's one of the ones that makes you hopeful for women's wrestling moving forward. Not that there's like, and people are shitting on the division, but like I said, the potential for what she can give back to women's wrestling through her career and after. It's notable. Blue Boyd saying in the chat saying Charlotte getting injured is intriguing, and I don't hate it. Well, yeah, I mean, what's intriguing is what we're going to do with the women's division without her, because they leaned on her for every Mania. If she's not here this Mania, what are we going to get at Mania? To me, there's actually a lot of excitement there because, like her or not, they've relied on her to do that Mania. Anyone who's put in that position now is taking the Charlotte spot. And whether we like those matches or not, they're always critically acclaimed, right? So there's a lot of pressure on whoever's going to be in there to bring it. And so I'm really excited about whoever shows up, because I have a feeling that they're going to show the fuck up. And I hope it's a Bayley. I hope Bayley gets that spot. So
yeah, I mean, Charlotte's been at Mania the last 7 years, either challenging or holding the title.
Yep.
Always in the title match, and it's not something I necessarily look forward to either.
Yeah. And like I said, like it or not, that's what people say. So I'm super excited about the concept of what we're doing. And Clump, I appreciate you bringing up Bayley's Superstar of the Year, because I felt bad as I was looking at my list. I was like, God, the only Bayley thing I have is that we just didn't get enough of Damage Control as we have now. And I was like, and usually she's up there as far as like this moment, that moment, what's around her. And like I said, this was a rough year for women, if I'm honest. Like there was a lot of great moments and a lot of bad stories and a lot of clunkiness and a lot of untimed injuries and a lot of pregnancies, and a lot of it just came down to like, let's readjust again. Chelsea Green, you mentioned, has had 3 tag team partners while champion.
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck. But guys, I think that's going to bring an end to the Boozies for us. That is the this edition of our 5th annual first ever Boozies. Tomorrow night, we're going to have the indie edition. So Miss Amanda Jane and Digi are going to talk about AEW and indie wrestling and who they thought filled these categories in those regards. Was there anything that we didn't touch on that you guys wanted to talk about? Any honorable mention things?
No, I tried to chime in as best I can, as I always do. I appreciate you having us on here and really getting to go after it. This is always fun to hit a Boozie with you.
Yeah, and this is a fun one too, because we get to kind of like, really, this is celebrating a lot of the good stuff and being that fair conversation of like, look, like it or not, Punk should win some of this because I don't like him, but this is notable. You know what I mean? Like, it's finding the positive in the things that you don't like day to day either. So this is a fun one. It's one of the more fun ones for me because I really like when we get to sit back and be like, how great was this year? You know, even though we had months where I was like, I think the wind's out of my sails, guys. It was also like, but it was still good, you know. Clump, anything you want to throw out there for last call?
No, I'm good.
All right, I'm just happy you're here with us. I'm happy you're back with us, and I'm happy for everyone who came through the 5th annual first ever Boozie Awards here in the dive bar of the IWC. Guys, we'll be back. So give us the old like, the subscribe, put the I in notifications, subscriptions, the no notifications. It's only episode 1. Guys, we'll figure it out. Until next time, that's last call.
Cheers.
Producer Lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support and buy us a drink by putting the I in subscribe and reviewing our podcast. And cheers to Fans First Sports Network for keeping the dive bar lights on.
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.